Early January 2020, a 14-year-old Ivorian boy stowed away in the undercarriage of a plane that had arrived in Paris from Abidjan but got to his destination lifeless. And in Nigeria, sometime in late December 2019, an intruder was trying to get into the well wheel of an aircraft operated by domestic carrier Air Peace, which was about to take off from the domestic terminal in Lagos, was apprehended by security officials. On this edition, the issue of stowaway at the attendant danger is an interest. Plus, an update on the coronavirus, as British Airways says no mainline China flights till March 2020. A warm welcome to Aviation This Week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi, and our background report is up next. We begin with the action of Ivorian authorities on the shanty buildings around the airport in the wake of the 14-year-old stowaway incident.
This is an informal shanty town near the walls of the international airport in Abidjan, the capital city of Côte d'Ivoire. Residents here have moved out of the country as authorities gave them an ultimatum. Some of them left, taking down the last of their informal houses and all the corrugated iron roofs. The government says it's seeking to create a 200-meter buffer zone around the airport wall to avoid a repeat of the tragedy on January 8th when the 14-year-old boy climbed up the wall, hid in an Air France plane's landing carriage and was found dead when it arrived in Paris. Residents who will get no compensation for the move are angry. The reason they settled here was because they could not afford to live anywhere else.
Sir, just look. We are clearing off. But where are we going to go? There is nowhere to go. Right now, my friends are in class, and I had to move all my things to other families' places. Honestly, the government needs to have pity on us. They should at least delay the move so we can finish our studies before they make us move out.
The 14-year-old stowaway, Laurent Barthélemy Annie, lived in the poor district of Yopougon. He is believed to have climbed the wall of the international airport and hid on the airport grounds before slipping into the landing carriage of the plane bound for Paris. Investigators said the teenager likely died from extreme cold or from asphyxiation. Some of his friends speaking to local media said Barthélemy had always dreamed of going to Paris and that he wanted to be a scientist. His father, maths teacher Marius Annie, said he had done the very best for his child. He said he lived on a minute salary and never encouraged his son to go to Europe.
I have never wished for my child to go on such an adventure. I have given them the education that I could afford to give them in accordance with the little that I earn. He is the last one, the eldest. I have brought them up with the means at my disposal. As I was saying, they succeeded in life, so I gave him what I could and what I thought was enough to guarantee his daily life.
A stowaway is a person who secretly boards a vehicle such as a ship, an aircraft, a train, cargo truck, or sometimes buses. The purpose is to get from one place to another without paying for transportation. In other cases, the goal is to enter another country without first obtaining a travel visa or other permissions. Quite a number of people have attempted to stow away on aircrafts. Most stowaways on board aircraft have died during the attempt, especially on longer flights. Between January 2018 and January 2020, 8 stowaways have died on different flights, with 4 of the flights originating from African airports. In Nigeria, a teenager survived 12 hours hidden in the wheel compartment of a plane between Lagos and London in 2017. In March 2016, the body of a stowaway was discovered in the undercarriage of an Arik Air jet flying from Lagos to New York, while in November of 2016, another body was found on a Lagos Arik Air flight when it landed in Johannesburg. And a former Air Force commandant says the stowaway cases started many years ago.
The issue of stowaway in Nigeria is not It's not new, it's not very new. 1992, a boy whom I still believe is still in that airport, that has grown up to be a man, who used to come to the airport with a mother, was about 13 years old. And how he found himself to KLM aircraft, flew to Amsterdam in it, and did not die, and was brought back to this country by the KLM immigration officer and the police officer, should be a lesson, an experience for those who were in the airport about that time.
In December 2019, a young man who scaled the fence of the Lagos domestic airport was caught before he made his way into the well wheel of an Air Peace flight. Authorities say he wanted to go to Atlanta. A medical expert warns on the danger of this extreme adventure.
So if you decide to be outside the cabin and you're staying somewhere that is outside the cabin that is pressurized, you are going to be exposed to extreme levels of temperature, that is very low degree temperature levels, minus 65, minus 50 degrees centigrade, and you will not survive it. It's very cold out there. And also the partial pressure of oxygen to be able to drive oxygen to your lungs will be reduced greatly, so you might not be able to, you suffer things like hypoxia, decompression sickness, and you could also have frostbites from extreme levels of cold temperature. So it's not advisable for people to fly outside the pressurized cabin.
And the former commandant at the airport also has a word for the airport authorities, especially with the constant encroachment on the airport fringes.
The urban developments around the airport are uncontrolled, and most of them have built into the airport land to the extent that nobody is checking. Nobody is overseeing what is behind the fence as against what the regulation says. The aviation security document 8973 gives the minimum any public building can be to the fence, to the perimeter fence or to the security fence. But unfortunately, you go around the whole Lagos airport, you find all these buildings that are there. If they are not meeting the standard, and we have a regulatory agency, what have we done? So,
whether pushed by desperation, opportunism, or seduced by a Western lifestyle promoted by TV and social media, Stowaway's dreams for a better future, or their fear over what might happen to them if they remain at home, undoubtedly cloud their decision to what has been called the debt game.
On the interview segment, a top official in the Aviation Security Department of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria is our guest. He explains that the airport fence in Lagos is well patrolled, but the public needs education on the dangers of stowing away.
It teaches us that we still have a lot of things to do with regards to maintaining the integrity of our perimeter fence. That is one. Then number two, we also have a lot to do with regards to educating the general public about the dangers involved in one, illegal migration, and two, trying to board an aircraft service, and then three, stowing away on an aircraft that's going to fly sometimes above as much as high as 38,000 to 40,000 feet above sea level. So those are some of the things that we really need to do. Over the years, we've had a lot of experience with regards to handling incursions into the air side, and that is why like what you see in our airports, you see the concrete wall fence. That is not what some airports in the world use, but you just have to come up with that to safeguard the integrity of our perimeter fences. That is number one. Then number two, again, we've had to put what we call anti-climb devices on those fences. We've intensified patrols. We've been doing vehicular patrols, escort and receiving of aircraft for more than 20 years now. Not just because of stowaways, but because of issues of airside intrusion, and perimeter intrusion also. So these are some of the measures that we have put in place. More recently, we've increased the height of our perimeter fences. We've had to put additional coaches on some of the areas, because of the low-lying nature, the terrain. Some of these areas have changed, and that has reduced the height of the fences where we used to have them. So we've had to raise the height of the fence.
Travelers crossing the nation's international borders must present themselves for clearance at the airport. This is to ensure that every traveler who is either going out or coming in is captured on the Migrants Information and Data Analysis System. This is to ensure that the government has data which is intact about those traveling in and out of the country.
Introduce MIDAS for us to be able to have effective records of passengers in the control post. And it now tells us the history, the travel history of the passenger in advance. We call it advanced passenger information. And MIDAS is endowed with Interpol data.
Domestic carrier Aero Contractor said it has conducted over 20 aircraft maintenance and repair in its facility in Lagos after 2.5 years of operation. The managing director of Aero said this line of business has been supported by both local and international carriers as it has developed capacity to solve in-house aircraft repair needs in-country and by extension providing third-party assistance. The repair of aircraft in Nigeria is saving the country about $1 billion annually.
Since then, we have not looked back. We have gone from 1C all the way to 6C check. That is the first D check, which was rolled out a couple of months ago. And we are also looking forward to expanding it to other workshops, like the engine workshop that we're looking at, and to also look at increasing our capability on other types of aircrafts.
And now to Imo State.
In April 2019, this was the telltale signs of fire that ravaged the executive lounge at the arrival terminal of the Sam Mbakwe Airport in Owerri, the Imo State capital. The swift intervention of the airport firefighters to a large extent helped in putting out the fire. However, the management of the airport is not taking any chances as they organize a mock exercise to test the preparedness of the emergency team and equipment in the likelihood of any incident like fire and plane crash. The mock exercise is being dramatized at an open space about a few kilometers to the aerodrome of the airport, and according to the airport manager, it's a scene of a plane crash with 105 passengers, 30 injured persons and no death.
The exercise is on a plane crash and fire involving Organiru Airline. So, but we actually know that there won't be a plane crash here, but it's part of our process to go on mock exercise to be sure that our equipment are okay, to be sure that our communication is okay, to be sure that our response time is okay. That is the essence of the mock exercise.
She commends our team and other assisting agencies for their zeal and commitment in ensuring that the mock exercise is successful.
And I'm happy with my team, the team I have here. Most of them, we're actually looking at the timing. We found that so far, the response time is okay. The response time is all right. It's actually good enough to combat any incident. So we are not praying for any incident here, but we are telling you that Sam Mbakwe International Cargo Airport, our team is highly prepared to meet international standard.
The airport management says this mock exercise will be a routine one, so their emergency equipment and team will continue to meet with international best practices. Eyitope Kuteyi, Channels Television News.
Aviation This Week will return with an update on the coronavirus as a robot who provides information on the disease.